And we're live. What is up, Facebook? Let's get the music going. It's going. My daughter assures me that it's going. I move speakers around in the studio, so I have no idea how loud the sound is. In the past, the speakers were behind the camera, and you had to crank them up. And inside the studio, it was crazy loud. It was really loud. It was kind of fun. I have to admit, I like it. It's kind of like a club.
But now you're not shouting.
But now I'm not shouting. It's much more fun this way, not having to shout. So welcome to the Wine No Wine Show, the only show where you can be friended and offended all in the same darn hour. America, we have a problem. You know what I'm talking about. I call it the zero to Nazi effect. It's in any given conversation, when there's a disagreement, the length of time it takes to go from zero to you're a Nazi. I'm going to punch you in the face and go outside and set your car on fire. Because that's how we do it now, in the wonderful world of social media. And life in general, it seems. Thank you, media. Well, I have a solution. It's wine! Love it! We're going to pour ourselves a great glass of tasty wine today, and we're going to have a lot of fun talking about a crazy fun subject that I know a lot of you have just vented about and said you wanted to be on the show for this one and all that sort of thing. So I'm looking forward to the interesting comments, because today we are talking about being single in a Facebook world. Holiday edition. So, you know, being single, social media, it's changed a lot from before the wonderful world of Facebook. So that's what we're talking about today. Guys, interacting with girls, that sort of thing. How do you even do it? I mean, like, what goes on these days? When do you inbox? When do you not inbox? I don't know. I've been married 24 years. I don't have a clue. So I'm just going to be asking questions. All right? So I'm going to start pouring glasses. You guys chime in with your thoughts, your questions, your comments, crazy stories. Keep it PG, please. I'm like, you know, I was already thinking about this. I had a friend that posted a comment, and the comment was definitely not PG. And like, I couldn't think of any nice way to say it live on the show. And I'm like, how do you address the subject? So I'm just going to throw it out there and get it out of the way. Just going to brave it. The PP pick. I'm coining. I'm coining. That is my phrase. I'm trademarking it. Y'all can't use it. Right? It's not the D pick. It's the PP pick. The PP pick. Why? Why does any guy think that's a good way to start a conversation? I just don't know. It's crazy madness. Yet I hear about it all the time. So anyway, we're going to address some of those subjects and talk about that kind of stuff and everything else to do. I'm going to start pouring me a delicious glass of wine. We're going to pour it around. By the way, we have a guest, not in an accident, but stuck behind a car accident, Maggie, who is going to be here shortly. But I'm going to start pouring glasses of wine, and we're drinking a South African Chenin Blanc called Nzuri from the Western Cape of Africa, kind of their premium region of South Africa. The equivalent, I would say, in America is like the Sonoma region. A lot of premium wines come from there. This is supposed to be a very fruity, light wine, taste of mango, melon, papaya, that kind of thing. So I'm really looking forward to it because I like those kind of wines. I like all wine, to be honest. So
wine with alcohol.
Right, you know, yeah, I like my favorite type of wine is wine. So, yeah, and we need to put our phones on silent. I always forget that because my daughter is reminding me because I've already heard it go ding a couple times. So anyway, I'm going to start pouring this glass of wine, and we're going to give our guests the opportunity to introduce themselves and shameless plugs, because that's how I pay our guests. They get wine and shameless plugs. So whatever you guys want to promote, talk about, keep it like a minute or so. Let us know who you are, that sort of thing. If you've got something you're promoting, how people can find it or find you, that sort of thing. So, all right, we're going to be digging in here. I'm pouring a glass, and since Maggie isn't here yet, she just texted me and said she's right down the street. So I'll start with you, Randall, and we'll work our way around.
I was so looking forward to it. Hey, everybody, I'm Randall Chestnut. Joe wrangled me in the last minute. It was supposed to be an all-female
all-female panel.
I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be outnumbered. who wants to know what a guy has to say anyway about dating? Because what do we know about dating, right? Not. I'm just kidding on that part. But I work in the social media space. I've spoken about. I'm sure I've been on this show a few times. We have already seen that. So thanks for having me on the show, Joe. Hopefully I can rile everybody up. That is really why I'm in here. So we can have some points of disagreement, because you can't have a yin without a yang.
It's true.
Absolutely. And we'll discuss yangs.
No, really.
Why?
Right after we discuss the yin. So this show is just going to be filled with innuendo. I'm apologizing now. Steph.
I am Stephanie Pitt, Steph Pie. I'm a visual artist, and I think last time I said I didn't have a shameless plug. Same thing. I'm working on some things kind of behind the curtain. I was telling these guys earlier, I'm kind of taking a break. I went really hard at the beginning of the year, so my shameless plug is that I'm just trying to come in for next year.
So she makes amazing art. I will give a shameless plug for her. Weren't you? You were the first artist I had on the show. Yeah. The first artist I had on the Wine No Wine show. Some really, really cool art. I saw it. I said, hey, I want to have you on the show, and brought her on just to display the art. I mean, it was just kind of a new idea. And from that, a whole doggone show called the Wine No Wine Show Artist Edition evolved, because I really wanted to have enough time to spotlight the artist and allow them to talk and all that sort of thing, rather than making them drive across town for 5 minutes while we displayed their art. So the whole new show, Thursdays at 7 p.m., be sure to tune in that. But make sure you can follow her on Instagram, so when she does come up with some new stuff, why are they calling me? Oh my gosh. And I have my phone off. The media is off, but the doggone ringer wasn't off. How you like that? Can't win for losing. How do they follow you on Instagram?
My Instagram handle is Steph Pie, P-I 3.14.
There you go.
My email is the same at yahoo.com.
There you go. And, our more of our production crew, who was also stuck in all the crazy traffic, just managed to get here. And so there's that fun going on that you guys can't see, so I probably shouldn't even talk about it. But I don't know if y'all got to hear the door open. This is kind of stalling in the hopes that our guest will get here by the time it gets around to her. So, that's just how the professional thing happens right here. You're witnessing it. So, go ahead, Melissa. First time guest on the show, Melissa.
So, first-time guest here at the Wine No Wine Show, Melissa Bryan. I am a mortgage lender. I'm not going to plug myself too much because we are held to strict compliance standards, but if you need a loan to buy a home, I am your girl. Been single for 3 years, so learning a lot about this being single in a Facebook world. It was all new to me. Now I think I'm an old pro, so looking forward to the show.
There you go. Very cool. All right, well, we have Maggie, who is absent. I cannot do shameless plugs or introductions for her. She's an artist also, Maggie Colton. But I don't know her information well enough to say it from memory on how she can, how you can find her and all that sort of thing. She was on the Wine No Wine Show Artist Edition and brought some really cool stuff, so that was pretty hip. But she'll be joining us shortly. So just to give some shout-outs, we have a lot of folks commenting. We had a whole conversation. Hey, Maggie is here. There we go. Yay! So I was just stalling as much as I could just got through introducing, or at least saying your name. And that you are also an artist. So go ahead and give who you are, shameless plug, if there's anything you want to promote.
Oh, okay.
And that sort of thing.
My name is Maggie Colton. I'm a visual artist here in Houston. We just finished up Raw Showcase, which is awesome. Oh, cool. You can find me at rawartist.org/Lennon McCall. And
Raw Artist?
Raw Artist.
R-A-W?
Mm-hmm. Raw
Artists. Did you get that, Ash? As she looks at me like a deer in the headlights. She's doing like 20 things all at once and doing it quite well. I just like giving her a hard time.
She's a hardcore gamer.
Yes, as gamers go. So anyway, now we have a bunch of comments already in the comment feed. Yes, and as Julia said, be sure to speak up so it can be hard to hear us. So now that we have our full production crew here, Harley can just turn up the microphone and we don't even have to worry about that. So he can make that happen. And my daughter, I already know what she's going to say as she feverishly types it. The host tends to speak louder than the guests. This is a true story.
We'll try and outdo him tonight.
Yes.
We'll work on it.
So I'll have to be softer in my. I have to use my inside voice. My inside voice. All right. So we got people tuning in, commenting, dropping all kind of comments, and yes. So Chenin Blanc from South Africa. That's what we're drinking today. We actually had a conversation that kind of started earlier in the week, and on the comment feed for the show, as we were sharing the show during the week and promoting it. Because this is a rare show on the Wyandotte Wine Show. We've done 31 shows, and this is one of only 2 subjects that have been repeated. And this subject, this is our 3rd show doing it. I will tell you, the last show was 2 hours long,
Oh, really?
and we drank 7 bottles of wine.
We all Ubered home.
Yes.
I have a driver.
Between 6 people. So
It happens easily when you're single, I
it
think.
was.
I know, we're really good.
It was.
If there's one thing I'm good
I'll
at,
just say it was an epic show. I mean, the show started off G and ended R. By the end of the night, we had people standing up, dropping the P word and the F word and everything else.
Sounds like my kind of show.
It got kind of rowdy, I'll just say. So we'll try not to go there this time. I don't even have that much wine here, so we'll definitely be able to keep it toned down a little bit. But anyway,
Stay till the end of the show. So
right?
we can find
You
out.
never know. You never know what might happen.
Yeah.
So I want to blow up this comment on the screen, Ash, from Melissa. She shared this. She said, "Here's a little preview of what you can expect that we're going to be talking about on the show." She got a text message at 11:50 p.m. And the text said, "Hello there." Started off fine. A little still, it's sketchy because it's 11:50 at night, right? Hello there. It could be, hey, after that, sorry to bother you. I was just shot. You're the only person's number I have saved in my phone. Can you please send me an ambulance? There could have been a save after the 11:50, message. But right after the 11:50 message, what are you getting into? And you could just
Not you.
you can just picture the
into bed
you can just picture the butterfly collar and the gold chain, a little slick back greased hair, Hey,
Was it a weekday?
what are you getting
Yeah,
into?
weekday.
You know what I'm saying?
It was a big day.
Yeah. Weekend, yeah.
Is that weekend?
Yeah.
It was
So
yesterday, so it was a weekend.
It was yesterday when I took the screenshot.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
yeah.
Oh, this is you got this message?
Yeah.
She got this message. So
You didn't respond?
well, look what she said. She gave a response.
I saw that.
What are you getting into? I'm getting into turning off my ringer so I don't get woke up again.
It would have been funny if you said I'm getting it.
Yes, don't have this number saved, right? So, if I don't have this number saved, then you obviously weren't important enough for me to save it. So, see you
I
later.
wish I got that from a woman.
The difference of a man and a woman,
Yeah.
right there. All
If I
right,
got
so
that, I'd be like, I don't know why.
real quick,
You know,
Ash.
and
What am I-
now that you talk about the PP pics, I think it could have been worse. Could have definitely
Yeah,
been
yeah,
worse.
for sure. Straight out,
See,
yeah.
I like your. See, it could always be worse.
Yeah.
That's true.
So that's what y'all are dealing with out
It
there.
could have been
So
like I'm outside looking in your window.
right.
Yeah, I could have gone that way.
What are you getting into? By the way, I don't recommend those
That.
pajamas.
I don't recommend you doing that.
You look better in that first thing you had on.
That would be freaky.
We just went really creepy with that really quick.
Yeah.
See?
Your hair smelled a lot better last
At
night.
least we didn't get a response after that.
Ah.
Been like, it's so-and-so.
Marilis Vicky. Oof, there's nothing like real life. Yeah. Joseph Mikado, I break up right after Thanksgiving and then ask for forgiveness around March. This way I spend no money on Christmas or Valentine's Day.
Okay, that's
Joe has been on the show. He was on one of the editions of the singles deal, and he really enjoys pushing buttons, antagonizing. And he had those poor ladies all riled up. And,
Oh my God! That's why they
yeah,
needed 7
yeah,
boxes.
it was so funny though. Karen George, pee-pee pick. She's still laughing about that. Chris is giving you a shout out. Chris Meyer, Minnemeyer, thank you
Chris
for
was at Raw last
joining the
night.
show. Yeah, he was at Raw. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mandy Parrish, it's 5:00 somewhere. Heck yes. Cheers.
Hey.
All right. Sandra, thanks for tuning in. Sandra, you may have some interesting stories as a new single person. David Craig, thanks for tuning in. Crystal, another amazing artist. Sandra said, "Oh goodness, lol." I think she was talking about the pee-pee pics. Can't hear you that well, guy on the end. But I think we got the sound thing worked out already. We didn't have our sound guy here. Sorry about that. Car stuff, accidents on the freeways and whatnot. Crystal said, "Yay, my sis step is on the show." Guests need to speak up. We got it covered. Kwame, thanks for joining in. J.R. Hargrove, Steve Williams, regular on the show. Thanks for tuning in. Julia said, "Be sure to speak up, guys." I keep seeing those. I should just ignore them because we got it fixed. All right, Lacey, thanks for tuning in. 7 question.
Hey, you up?
What 1150
Hey,
board
Molly!
booty?
Yeah. How can I get my Twitter Snapchatted while single in a Facebook world?
Oh, wow.
Twitter Snapchatted while single in a Facebook world.
Yeah,
Hey, JL.
He tried to cover them all there. Mr. Hargrove's been on one of the shows before.
I think there's some innuendo, and I'm just not picking it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. That's like a,
11:50 p.m. Boredom and booty call.
yeah.
And I didn't mind that text at 11:50 p.m. It's just that I obviously haven't heard from this person because their number isn't saved. So the first time if you want to get your Twitter Snapchatted, you shouldn't first message
hey,
someone at
if-
11:50 p.m. You
Right.
probably should build some rapport during the day hours.
Might be
I definitely
smart.
agree. Yeah.
Might be smart. So, the kind of the subject at hand here today, being single in a Facebook world, is the dynamic of how has social media impacted dating. And we have a specific kind of a twist on this, which is the holidays, right? And I'll throw it out as a married guy because I don't know. I'm like 24 years, same gal. I wouldn't even know where to start. I'd be utterly clueless, right? The holidays for me, it's all like, man, we have this elaborate plan of mother-in-law's house and mom's house and then relatives and all. It's like science. I mean, you have spreadsheets and charts and stuff. So
Maps.
yeah, maps. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But we're also sharing all this stuff on social media, and we're talking about it and all that sort of thing from a single perspective. How does that impact your world and all that sort of thing? The holiday angle of this as well. So I like to start off with kind of a bullet point thing and just get a quick feel from it. Comments from you guys chiming in. Nightmare stories, whatever else. How's the holidays being single on Facebook and all that sort of thing? How you guys dealing with that? Chime in with your thoughts. We'll come back and mention it. But just kind of, I'm gonna start on this side of the room with you, and just kind of your bullet point, kind of a thought on how social media and the dating world has been interesting for you.
I have a really good. Can I read a post? Actually, a friend of mine posted something that was amazing.
Okay.
That I think that would be perfect for what I have to say.
She says it's amazing, guys.
It is amazing. Actually, it's my
Jeff Emerson, thanks for tuning in, brother.
Hey, Jeff.
He's been on our show before. Cool guy. Will Bamford, thanks for tuning in.
I wish I could
up, Will?
post it. I wish I could show this on the screen so people could see it. 'Cause it's gonna be. It's a lot.
Message it to him.
Yeah, message it to me, and then my daughter can get it. So just
How do
copy
you
and
do
paste
that?
it.
Oh, I don't know how to do that, Joe. Come on.
So
My phone's barely working as it is.
oh,
Obviously, I'm not good at
Yeah.
social media.
so copy. There we go. And now you're gonna find me. We're doing this great technical
know,
stuff
yeah.
here live.
Speaking
This
of
is-
social media,
This makes for great TV. I'm just gonna
the
say.
holidays can be hard,
Oh.
or they can actually be good because I think sometimes you're so busy.
Pass
with
this
the holidays, it's not
pass
that
this
big of a
over
deal.
there. I've got it copied, so all you have to do is find me and share it. So just she'll
Awesome.
share it, and that way she can put it on the screen. I'm sorry, I have it copied, so just find me, look up me, and then send it to me on Messenger. So we'll get back to that.
Awesome.
Right now, kind of just bullet point your thought on.
I was just
where
thinking the
you're at with
holidays
this.
are fine. I mean, I think it's fine for me because I'm so busy and I'm a single mom, and so my kiddos are kind of like consumed with the holidays. And like you said, there's spreadsheets and stuff. We've got family plans, and we have family that comes in town, so it's easy because you kind of stay busy, but at the same time, I don't know. It'd be nice. It's not as easy just to date during the holidays, I guess, because you are busy, so it's different.
Okay.
It keeps your mind off of it, I guess. You're busy.
Yeah.
But it is nice. Christmas lights are awesome. Those kind of dates are fun. Sleigh rides. No, we're in Texas. We don't get those things.
Not really.
Got it?
Not really.
Yeah, not really. Great.
All right. So now we're able to copy and paste your comment.
So this is really
Oh, that's
funny.
a
This
long
is
one.
very,
It's a long one.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was that long, but it was when I read it. I was
Copy
like,
and paste
"That's
that and
perfect."
put it in the pin it to the comment feed.
This is by Mike Stanley. He's actually a great singer-songwriter, musician too. Mike Stanley Band.
We should have him on the artist edition of the Wine
Yeah, I
No
think
Wine
he's
Show.
out of Waco. I don't think he's in town, but he's a great artist.
All right.
But it's really funny.
The whole
Modern
comment.
dating 101.
I'm working on it.
Okay.
You've got a
I
loud
want
voice,
copy
Joe.
of
You
all
read it.
messages. Can I just?
Double click on it, baby. There you go.
That's only one paragraph.
Oh, good lord.
And whenever
Don't
you-
copy that part.
Yeah, don't copy that last part. Copy from there up. There you go. Now it's all the way to the top. Right click.
Yeah.
It's super true. There's
Boom.
nothing
That's
personal
fine.
about dating anymore, I don't think.
Yeah. So while she's getting that posted, bullet point your thought.
So, with regard to the holidays in a social media world, I don't know if any of y'all have recognized this, but there's kind of a season to dating. And so the
Yeah.
online dating sites and dating or pre-dating activities really pick up around, say, October. It's kind of like when football drafts. So maybe even in August, people are starting to look.
Okay.
Once the summertime fun has ended, they're looking for someone to date, starting to think about spending the holidays alone. It's going to be cold, they're not going to want to go anywhere. So when you get that first cold front, if you're single at that time, it's kind of a little too late, right? And that's when the 11:50 texts start coming in.
Crap, I totally forgot about dating.
Maybe it's cold outside.
I'm so behind. I'm so behind. Who can I text? I met this girl. Hey,
It's
what are you up
literally
to?
the squirrel forgetting to get a
Yes.
Yeah,
at the last minute.
And the thing is, so when you meet this person, so say you actually weren't single, right? So you found your person that you can now text at 11:50 at night. Now you have the kind of weird situation where, do I take them to the family for the holidays? Do I not? How are they going to behave at holiday parties? And so it can really be a make or break situation. So holidays, being single is always
I forgot about that Christmas party dates and that kind of
pretty interesting holiday
So
parties.
we'll dwell on that. We'll come
Christmas
back to that.
parties,
Like,
who's going to be your date.
when do you start figuring that out, especially if you got kids involved and that sort of thing, right?
Yeah,
So
that's the
we'll
good
talk
part.
about that, right? This, at the end of the day, this show, I found out at least through the last few shows, it kind of starts off we're fun and playful about it, but every time we've done this, it's been back and forth conversation with, guys asking questions to the ladies and ladies kind of having some aha moments. We talked about this before the show where one of the ladies felt it was totally inappropriate to PM her or inbox her, private message her without her permission. And a guy in the
How do you get
comment
permission?
feed said, how do
You
I
know.
get permission
You
if
have
I
to
don't
message
private message you?
Right.
And it was a moment where she was like, oh, it hadn't occurred.
Yeah.
And so she was getting all riled up at these guys, because they didn't ask permission, but yet she didn't give them any way to ask permission. So it ended up being, kind of very informational for both sides. So, for you ladies, there may be questions you have back for the guys that are in the audience. Randall's here, so he can answer some of these questions
gonna
as
answer
well.
for
You're the
every
token
poll.
guy.
That's right, for all men. He represents every man
I do.
on the planet. Guys, you're in trouble.
Only the
I'm just letting you
handsome
know now.
That's all we care about anyway.
Right, exactly. So, he doesn't represent the ugly guys. So
Yeah.
if that's you tuning in, I'm sorry. So,
Oh my gosh. He's gonna light up now.
yeah. So we had a question here from H. Scott Apley, and
AOL.
Scott, he said, what happened to the good old ASL days from AOL?
ASL.
I remember
Age, sex, location.
Oh, how funny.
You talk about cutting to
Like
the
chat
chase,
review?
man.
Oh, how
That's cutting to the
hilarious.
chase. Just ASL. I first filter right off the bat. We'll touch on that because we had a conversation before the show about asking about your goals and whether you want to be married, whether you see yourself married. And Randall had some definitely interesting feedback from Melissa, who posed that comment prior to the show. So
what is that? I missed
we'll
Oh, you get it.
we'll dig in on that comment, but it's kind of the same thing, right? He's saying, age, sex, language. It's really cutting to the
Location.
chase. Language.
Location.
Yes. Do you speak
Maybe
English?
language too.
Right. I just need it up front whether you're Spanish speaking or
Yeah.
not.
Can we communicate?
How good is your grammar?
Do we
That's
have your
important.
I'm
post?
a grammar
I know,
nerd. Super
yes.
important.
Do we have the post? I
Yes.
wanna see it.
Yeah.
So yeah, the
read
post
it.
is up there. So let's go ahead and get that. We'll get this, and then we'll finish off the other half of the bullet point here. And well, you know what? I want to finish the bullet point.
Yeah.
thought.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Steph, bullet point where you're at with social media,
Holidays.
Facebook impacting the dating life, especially holidays.
No, I totally agree with them. It's party season, right? Your companies are having holiday parties, and you're like, am I go instead? Am I that crazy lonely lady at the bar by myself, like getting drunk in front of my coworkers? Or is that
Going
just
home
me?
with one of them?
No, I'm just kidding. No, and I don't know if it's just me, but last year, I feel like half of my friends got engaged on New Year's Eve.
Oh, really?
And so you're on social media, right? And you're seeing like engagement,
Yeah.
engagement, and you're just like,
You're like, does anyone want a day drink? Or
right?
no?
So yeah,
Funny.
Does anybody want a day drink?
That's usually.
I love it. That's
Will you
awesome.
day drink with me?
Yeah.
I always have wine in my office. You can stop by. Just say hello. So we're a friendly bunch here at our office. So,
yeah, that's
all right,
It's true. The whole
y'all can
holiday
get
thing.
together and day drink sometime.
yeah.
We need a date to your holiday party.
All right, Randall.
Oh, so I think, us being creatures of habit,
Yeah.
that we're no different than animals. I mean, animals have seasons that they mate and seasons that they are collecting and gathering. We are no different. That women want to be single at certain times of the year more than they do in the wintertime, because they want to wear the bathing suit and they want to go to the beach and they want to be admired. And
Single for the summer was my high school motto. I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
Single for the summer.
And men, same thing.
I guess
Wow.
that's true.
And
I don't want to be seen in a
depending on where
bikini
because I've lived
any time of the year. I'm just saying.
I've lived in different regions. Chicago and California and Las Vegas, so I've lived in different climates.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that it's the climates that make those seasons or those times so much different. Like the people
That's
are the
fascinating.
same.
Yeah.
But in Chicago right now, because I was there for last weekend for my daughter's soccer game, and it was
Is it really cold
26
there right now?
degrees.
Yeah.
26.
26, yeah. Everybody was already in the mating season.
And the mating season.
Yeah. And it's like a thing around there. I mean, it's like people actually talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's that, like, the guys are like, oh, yep, it's time to bundle up and, like we just
Bundle up and snuggle up.
Whatever, yeah.
I guess it's different for me. Like, I guess just because I'm a mom, like, I don't think about that. Like, I'm good in front of the fireplace by myself. It's it's awesome. Like a glass of wine, like get my work done, and the fire. I just don't think about it enough. I guess.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think it's like much of the thing. I have to agree with that. I mean, it's because I'm the same way. It's like if you're busy, you're
Yeah.
busy.
Yeah. Just I think that's the problem. I just
Yeah,
stay
Randall's a
so busy.
workaholic. As
Yeah,
his
that's
business
not a
partner,
good
I can
thing.
tell you that.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be a good thing. We all have escapisms.
That's
Yes.
true.
Something.
Maybe
Some
it's
is
avoiding.
shopping.
Maybe you're not
Yes.
busy. Maybe I'm avoiding.
Well,
Exactly,
yeah,
right.
well, it's the same. You're
just
escaping
really
from
good at being
something.
single, I
Some people do it through drugs, eating, shopping,
All of
working,
the above.
all the above.
Maybe.
Yeah, overeat, undereat.
Yeah.
All right, so
True.
we're gonna go back and read
That's
that
not
lengthy comment,
Yeah. I'm sorry. I
And-
realize it's not,
and-
but it's really good.
and
Yes,
then
sir.
there's a couple other comments that I want to get in, and we'll start reacting to that kind of stuff because there's some fun stuff that's been said.
She's gonna be-
Steph was, Melissa was obviously just offended by the fact that I'm going to read this, and she's just out of here. I heard her say it under her breath. She said, "I've had enough,"
Yeah.
and she's out, bailed. So,
What do you
all right, modern dating 101. Introduction: social media stalking. Liking, sharing posts from persons of interest. Advanced skills may include occasionally commenting on said post. Introduction 2. Advanced. Social media.
Advanced.
Huh?
That's so
Advanced.
funny. It's the advanced version.
Yes,
Advanced
advanced.
Of introduction.
Social media
Sliding
DMing.
into the DM.
Right? Some people may advance directly to this phase depending on prior skill level. Associates in introduction. Acquiring persons of interest phone number through social media DMing.
Okay.
All right. Introduction 3, general knowledge building, and level 1, psych evaluation through text messages. Although it is rare,
That's my favorite
actual
part.
phone calls may be
Actual
introduced
phone calls might be
at this stage.
We might talk on the phone.
It could happen.
People
It-
still do that sometimes.
yeah. Bachelor's in introduction. Acquired after initial psych evaluation has been passed and plans of a first date have been initiated. Graduate degree. Achieved on first in-person date.
In person.
Yes, so that is definitely
How sad is it
social
when that's
media world in the terms of your degrees. Introduction
pretty
in
good.
real life communicating requires numerous dates, greater than 5, fewer than 11, and secondary or more psych evaluations must be passed with high marks. Either party may be given failing marks if either truant from any date in this phase. There we go. Master's
Okay.
degree. Achieved after dating phase and terms of commitment are being mutually used by both parties. Doctorate. Wow. Okay, so now we're getting like to the PhD
This
stuff
is
here.
So funny.
Initiating a person of interest in real life setting, face-to-face communicating, and setting up dates in real time. This degree completely bypasses all social media based introduction and is for advanced skill sets only.
Wow.
Social media may still be used in the scenario for general knowledge building and gathering psych evaluation information.
It's like normal dating, basically. All
Wow.
we go through all of that just to get.
That's
normal
sweet.
dating.
I got my degree on YouTube.
The
Me
best part
too.
is that Mike Stanley probably wrote that. in
Randall the
his
man.
Sweater.
I think, I don't know if that was Steve or Dave. So that's the whole issue. When do you take the person you are dating to the family get-together? That's a big question. We can delve into that as a single audience
Yeah.
here. Torian, thanks for tuning in, brother. Torian's from Chicago. He was on the show last week.
Speaking of Chicago.
Awesome guy. Always has some great comments. Renee said ASL has evolved to Tinder. Yes, that is
Tinder's
cutting to the
swipe thing, like
chase.
where you swipe.
That's fake news.
Yeah, ASL is cutting to the chase just like Tinder is. Yeah, Joseph McConnell says, I prefer to get rejected in person. Too many filters to make you look better. Social media is fake news. Yeah,
That's pretty true. I
Joseph we had talked about this on one of the shows about, like, you know, at what point does it become false advertising?
Yeah.
Right? Like, you got all the skin filters going, and I mean, like, you look like you're 20, and then you got to show up in person, and your picture actually might have been when you were 20, because you're definitely 40 now.
Yeah.
So, we've seen those, right? Hey, Cindy, thanks for tuning in, girl. She's been on the show a bunch of times. Christy Dow, thanks for tuning in. Melody Clark, thanks for tuning in. Jeremy Moore, tuning in. I wish they all could be California girls. Ed was supposed to be on a single show, and he had to skip out on that one because his daughter was getting her A&M ring or something. I forgot what the deal was. Cindy said, I was up there too, Randall. It's freaking chilly. Talking about Chicago, right?
She's in
Yeah.
Michigan.
What's going on, Jeremy? Ed, I knew the show would be back on without me. Yeah, we have to go on. You said back on? I think he meant boring without me. That's what he corrected himself. I knew the show would be boring. And then Molly says, me too, Ed, because Molly was supposed to be on the show. So, all right. So anyway, Karen George, my husband and I met on Match. There's another thing.
There you
Like, I mean, let's talk about dating sites and how much we're using that now in social media. So we had the whole fun comment there, and you guys want to chime in on that, but
All of it.
makeup is a skin filter. We have had that for years. You know, that's an interesting comment. Makeup is a skin filter. We've had that for years. We just have a digital version now. Yeah. At what point though does it become false advertising? That's kind of, you know.
Yeah, I'm cool with it. I mean, I understand how men are visual. Women understand that men are visual, and they're experts at creating the, seducing us through visual. I have no problem with that. I mean, that's what we like. I mean,
real life
because
stuff is
men
not like
understand
that,
that women understand that women, and I'm not speaking for all women, but like security.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
money can represent some sort of security, so we know that. So we try to do the same thing and portray ourselves maybe at some point.
That makes sense. Yeah, I never thought about
So
that.
we don't do anything different. So I'm totally fine with that.
I just had that discussion
marketing.
today with someone else. I was like, "Oh, this is not for you." It was a man. I was like,
Yeah.
"It's not for you. It's for me and
Yeah.
the girls."
Yeah.
Because it's not.
For sure.
I don't think that men are especially attracted to like glittery eyelids, but I like it, so I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
So I had a situation where I showed up on a date with a guy who had filtered his photos. And
Really?
I felt, not that he was
Yes,
unattractive, I would have rather seen the unfiltered
Yeah,
photo
for sure.
of him.
That's why you just
Yeah,
get them on
absolutely.
Skype.
Because
Oh,
for
yeah.
me, I felt like it was a lack of integrity on his part because it wasn't just a little filter, it was a lot of filter.
I didn't know
And
guys
that's
did
the
that or
that's
cared
the
about
that's
that.
my question. At what point does it become false advertising?
Yes.
Like we posed this question last time. It's like there's a point where you're saying I'm putting my best foot forward.
Right.
Right. So you're getting the lighting right and all this kind of stuff. But at the point at which you no longer look like you,
Yeah.
right? You look like a 10-year younger version of you or a 20-year younger version of you. I'm calling bogus on that. I'm like, no, that's not cool. That's not, I'm not down with that. Not that I'm dating, but I'm like, if I was dating, I would not be cool with that.
I think I'd
Right.
be more into a guy that if he commented on like a no makeup picture of me like in sweats than like a fancy picture. Like I think I would definitely go for the
I
guy
agree.
that was like, "You're beautiful,"
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yes.
know.
Yeah.
I agree.
instead of like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you're super hot right now." You know?
Yeah.
It just there's way more meaning.
I
behind
mean,
it.
it's so social media gives people the ability to be the person that they want to be,
Right.
and not the person they really are in most cases.
Yeah.
But I think that most people, when they actually meet that person, they're hoping that they really like the real person.
Yeah, for sure.
And they get nervous about that, and that makes it hard for the dating, because if they weren't authentically themselves, the guy you were talking about, the was it you, the filtered,
Yep.
over filtered guy, that guy's never gonna. He's always gonna have this element of insecurity.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I mean, it's
I
like
really didn't know guys.
it's
cared
like
that
the
much
guy
about
who
that.
lives at home and he drives a Bentley. Yeah, he drives a Bentley, but
Yeah.
eventually she's gonna find out
Yeah.
you live at home. And
I think it's more intriguing if you don't know that,
Yeah.
and then you find it out later, and it's like, oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I would never have guessed that about you.
I did 2 lives this previous week on this exact subject.
Really?
And why I do a lot of lives is you really can't be on somebody you can't. It's hard to fake being live. They hear your
Yeah.
voice.
Yeah.
You're like immediately on there. There's nothing you can't turn it off and like let me fix that and then be back. A picture you can spend hours and doctoring it
Sure.
up.
I will tell you, as a female, I've been single for about 3 years now, and when I first started getting on dating sites, I would intentionally use my worst photos.
That's a great idea.
I would use the worst photos, but now I feel pressure to use like glamour shots because, like you said, men are visual, and I think men don't even know what women look like anymore.
Yeah.
There's
They
an
look like
old
Kylie
movie.
Jenner, don't they?
There's
Yeah,
an
I don't know what
old.
she
all
looks
of
like
them.
anymore.
There's an
100%.
old movie called Sex, Lies, and Videotape.
Oh,
And
great movie.
It is a great movie. It's very old, but there's a line in the movie that was so freaking true. I think it was probably the first line I ever memorized from a movie because it was so true and it so summed up the difference between men and women. And it said, women fall in love with the men, women become attracted to the men they love, and men fall in love with the women they are attracted
That's
to.
so true. Absolutely.
Yes.
Right? We start off with, she's hot, and I kind of like her.
Yeah, and then
Right?
they get to know you.
And
That's
then
so
it
true.
turns into love. And then the women are on the opposite side. Thank God it works this way. That's why I have a super hot wife. The woman goes, he's so funny and he's so kind and etc. And then they start going, he's cute too.
Yeah.
Right? That comes along later.
That's definitely
Praise
true.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's the way it works for men.
That's so
I'd be
true.
toast if it wasn't. I can be funny.
I've had guys that like don't think
I have a
they're
face for
attractive,
radio.
and then,
I'm just
like,
saying.
The longer you date, the more attractive they become, and you're just like, and they just don't see it. And they don't think they're attractive, but to you, they're like the
Always.
sexiest person ever.
Yeah,
It's true. It's all about like who they are.
Yeah.
Or how they make you feel. I guess true.
See,
That is it.
Yeah.
How they make you feel.
Yeah.
absolutely. So we had a couple, comments here that were. I when you were talking, I'm like, I hope she didn't think I was laughing at what she said because I read.
You got to skip Joseph. He's going to say this the whole time.
Well, wait, you got to give it context,
What if men start to, like, put
Janie
up underwear?
Janie
You're done.
Rampala
You're done.
said. Janie Rampala said, where'd it go?
That's my friend from
scroll back
Chicago.
up. Scroll back
Women
up.
wear
Right there.
makeup.
Did you
She
scroll
said,
up?
women wear makeup, colored contacts, push-up bras, hair color, false eyelashes, and photo filters. But we want a real man,
So we're super
Right?
hypocrites. We get
right?
it, Janie.
So
Thank you, Jimmy.
we keep going on here. And Karen George said, my husband lied about his age on Match Profile.
What?
Right? So let's talk about that in a second. Like, have you ran into that much with people lying about their
All the
age?
time.
Right? So then it keeps going on. Renee says, what did you call out the guy
Yeah,
on
what'd you
his
say?
filtered photos?
Were you like, you were
like,
really
oh.
beautiful?
Right?
No, but I think that's a great idea.
I would've
Right?
been like,
I should have
what
said
filter was that? I'm
something.
gonna try it.
That's a
Uh,
good
I didn't have a clever enough way. Like that was a good.
And either Steve or Dave, who is commenting as the Wine No Wine Show, said, would any of you guys be up for a blind date?
I
Not
go on
ask.
a date with a blind guy.
Yeah, I would tell you that.
I'll go out
If
with
that's
a blind
what
I'm
guy.
not going blind. But then Joe chimes in with a great, he did a little tongue-in-cheek humor here, but again, it's about falsehood. He said, what if men started wearing push-up underwear?
That's just like an example.
Push-up
of the difference
bras.
in
Right,
the
he's
mind of a
being
woman and a
silly,
man.
but again, it's about putting of the false story out there is okay.
Yeah. There's a movie that Chris Rock was in. It was called I'm Gonna Get You Sucker. And there's a scene in the movie where these two people meet in a club and they go back to the place, and he's like, I gotta tell you something. Or no, she's like, I gotta tell you something. He goes, "Oh, what?" And then she pulls off her hair and goes, "This hair ain't real." He goes, "Oh, okay." He's like, "Oh, well, I got something to tell you." And they like back and forth.
Oh,
And
how
he says,
funny.
like, "I'm not, like this." And
They
she
get
goes,
down to the
"Oh yeah,"
nitty-gritty.
and they're like, "And this leg ain't real either."
yeah. That was a really funny scene in the movie.
That's super true though. We do want like real men. Like, it's so funny that guys want girls that are so done up, and then girls want guys that are just a real, genuine man.
Well, I think
I don't know
that
that
you
all
hit
guys
the nail
We're
on the
very
head.
shallow. What can I say?
Men know what women gravitate toward, and women know what men gravitate towards. So when you're single, and especially when there's so many single
Peacocking.
people who feel like they have
That's what
unlimited
it is.
options, you really do want to do what it takes to attract somebody. So I think it's
Yeah, I guess that's true.
yeah.
It's supply and demand. Come
It is. It is.
I think
Molly-
this was my comment on that.
Go ahead.
Is whenever a man or a woman, if you have a lot of choices, it's going to be harder to decide. When somebody is not attractive and they have one choice, it's easy for them to decide. They got one choice. When somebody's got literally, when a beautiful woman has thousands of men and they're on like a dating site, it's very difficult for them to decide.
I think I think for me, I just stop. I don't even try at that point. I think it's like it takes something unique or something
Yes.
intriguing or something
There can
genuine
be
that
all the
actually
men in
piques
the
my
I'll ask you
interest.
this.
Or I just don't,
One or none.
not
It's
even
like,
gonna try. Yeah.
Right.
Because earlier I was watching it was a video, and me and my business partner, we were working on a project, and the video came up in between, like when you're watching YouTube,
Yeah.
and like this other one came on. And it was this girl, she was complaining about that she was being objectified.
What?
But she was wearing some totally objectifiable
Me too.
stuff. She was like, like
I'm just
half
kidding.
naked. And Troy and I back and forth, and he said the right thing. And he was like, "Look, it's not that she wants to be like I'm a hoe. That's not
Yeah.
what she's saying. She's really just saying, I want attention.
Yeah.
But I don't want you to give me that attention."
Yeah.
And where the men get cross is with you wear something like that, they don't receive it that way.
Mm-hmm.
They're
That's
like,
true.
hell yeah. That's the way we receive it, even though you're not. They may not be. They just want notice me, and I want you to talk to me or be interested in me, but
It's
not
such a
that way.
double-edged sword. It's like because that actually really.
'Cause it
I
works.
could see how I could
'Cause
put
it
myself in that
works.
position, but I really don't want that kind of attention. Like
Right.
I would
You
want
want them to
somebody
be like, talk about
So why would a
there's
woman get
something,
fake
you know,
boobs?
like,
Yeah.
Why would a
something like
woman
that.
get fake boobs?
Well, I mean, I
it makes them
like
feel
boobs,
better.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I would get fake boobs.
But why did it make them feel better? Is that the next question. What about it makes them feel better? And it
Mm-hmm.
goes deeper to she wants the attention.
I totally
know.
disagree.
I disagree on that. 'cause I don't
Absolutely,
want the
100%
I'll bet
disagree.
you
attention.
do.
I want boobs, but I don't want the attention.
I think it
for
builds
boobs.
confidence.
Why
I
would
think
somebody-
it's
if it
body
gives
image,
them-
self-image, and
Yeah.
I think that in turn leads to
Yeah.
the ability
So
to put
every
themselves out
woman that
there
I've ever
for
known,
that.
'cause I've had this
but-
discussion a million times, is like, if you don't want that attention, then why the hell are you wearing a bathing suit to work? And it's
Yeah.
showing out the brand new boobs. If it was something
I
for
think it
you,
depends on who you like. It's
I-
definitely
then
confident.
who are you showing them to?
I don't hang out with women that wear bathing suits to work.
I'm just saying. I'm not saying.
I mean,
I'm
where
saying
does- I
that
thought
they're
where's
that
wearing
happening?
more reveal when they went from whatever a small cup is to like they're
Yeah.
sticking out, and all of a sudden now it's like I'm showing.
There's
I think it's
different
half and
versions
half.
of that.
I feel like that half of the female population go out because they want attention,
Sure.
and they're going to ruthlessly reject you once you
Absolutely.
give it to them. The other half are just comfortable in their bodies,
Yeah.
and they want to dress how they want to dress. And if you approach
Absolutely.
them, they're going to be nice about it. And so I say I'm not interested, and that's just how they dress. It's
Yeah.
You can't assume one way or another. That's just
I will
we're
tell you,
complicated creatures.
It's
yeah,
insecurity.
as a woman who has a hard time not showing curves, no matter how I dress, it's not for attention. It's that when your body is shaped a certain way,
Yeah.
you can't there's unless you're gonna wear a like the nuns.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about Halloween then.
I don't do it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I never met a nurse, a
situation, though.
cop, or a firefighter that ever dressed that
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
and it only happened recently.
I think it's hard to tell different, between confident,
I like it,
you being
though.
confident with your body or, you seeking attention. I can totally
is.
get how it goes both ways. I think, for me, I'm a mom and I work out hard and I work hard to stay in shape, and I think that it's a confidence thing. It's like
Yeah.
you deserve that. That's you
Well,
work hard for it, but it's never about.
I'm all for
So let me ask you this,
Attention.
because this is one of those things where I'm like, with Randall on this subject, I've had this conversation many times. I'm
About
like,
boobs? You guys talk about boobs?
No.
Probably attention.
About attention.
well, yeah, we do talk about boobs,
Just
but
men
no,
do
that's
the
not
same-
that,
men
not
do
what I
the
was going to
same
say.
thing. We just buy Ferraris.
Yeah,
True.
'Cause
That's
we
not
know- we know.
or speedboats.
but
buy Ferrari, we're
the
gonna have
difference is
attention.
the difference
But is
is
it for attention or confidence?
Both.
You want to be the one that pulls up and everybody's like, oh, crazy. who's
It makes
that?
you feel secure in yourself.
That's exactly it. And it's
Which I just don't get that level. I don't get it.
what?
I do.
It's just, like
You
I don't
don't
think
get
it's
what level?
attractive. Like I don't think it's attractive when a guy flaunts all that. Like for a guy to pull up with all these toys and has has
And
all
going
this stuff.
away.
It's not something I'm like, oh, that's super enticing. Like it's absolutely not attractive to me.
I think a
Oh,
lot
no, I
of the things we
believe that.
do, whether we're a man who is, driving up in a Ferrari or a woman who's wearing fake eyelashes and hair extensions and everything else, we do it to mask a certain insecurity because we're afraid if we present our natural flawed self, we're not going to be received by the opposite
you're
sex.
probably
I very
right.
much
Or
agree.
even just by
And-
anyone.
Or we're just good at marketing.
And let's just be honest, we are not received
I
by
agree.
a segment
I
of the
agree.
population. So we get that reinforcement because if I roll up in a Ferrari, the fact is there is going to be a segment of the female population that gives me attention.
There you
Just
go.
a segment though. I
So,
feel like
I
I've
get-
done
Like 95%.
So I get
I
lots
think
of
it's less than
confirmation,
that.
right?
I rode around in one.
Um,
so
Really?
yeah.
Oh
You have a
yeah.
Ferrari? Do you
Oh,
guys
yeah.
have Ferraris?
Oh, I rode around in them. Yes, trust me. It's,
So yeah.
Parked your Fiat
It
in the back
absolutely
and-
happens.
Yeah, no.
It absolutely
Which,
happens.
Bentleys,
which if you work
Bentleys,
hard
all
and
those.
you don't have those that's what you have to pay for and that's what you want. Like you're absolutely good for you. Like,
So
you
this is
deserve
wait.
that.
I'm not
This
complaining.
is
I'd be like, oh, I'm
this
gonna
is
date that guy
a
because
terrible
he's
analogy, but another great movie, and it kind of proves the point.
do you want?
Great movie called Office Space.
Oh man,
Right?
I love that
I don't
movie.
really understand how that relates,
And
but I'm excited to hear.
So listen, the neighbor, it's such a great movie. It's one of my all-time favorites. But the neighbor that
Denzel
could hear
Washington
through the wall
Yeah.
every conversation, he's like, so he goes, hey man, what would you do if you had $1 million? He goes, I'd probably do 2 chicks at one time. and the guy goes, you don't need $1 million for that. He goes, oh no, I'm pretty sure a guy like me does. Right?
That's so unfortunate.
Right? I'm like, as bad as that analogy is, the point being the same. There's going to be a segment of society
That's true.
that says this guy has $1 million. He's
Guys are really insecure,
wealthy,
like,
right?
No, we're not.
So-
no, it's not that. It's not
I
that.
think
It's not.
guys
It's
are very
hang on.
insecure.
Earlier,
Not a bad thing.
Melissa made this comment. We know what guys are looking for, and guys know what women are looking for. And at the end of the day, those base needs or base desires are there. With every woman, a guy who is able to make her feel secure, and that can be expressed in a bunch of different ways, right,
Yeah.
is attractive to them. And a lot of times, that is because of money, right? It does play out that way.
Depends on
And
where
there is
you're
a
at,
segment
you're
of
right.
It's not
I
just
agree
the
with
money.
and with
you.
females, with men, it is looks, and that's why you will have women that just automatically go to sticking the boobs and butt out because they do get a reaction, which confirms in them that they're attractive, and so that it's.
I agree with you, but I approach it from a different angle.
Okay, let's
Not
hear it.
in that women know what men want and men know what women want, but I
Yeah.
think we're
We think we
programmed
do.
from a young age, even in TV, even in Disney movies,
That's a great
Yeah.
point.
that men's value is in what they can provide materialistically, and women's value is in looking pretty and being
Yeah.
submissive and things like that. So we play into those roles without even realizing.
Yeah, it's easy. It's like subconsciously, it's easy.
I
to do
definitely
that.
think there's a degree of that there, and Randall, maybe you can back me up on this point. I definitely think you're right
Let me
about
see
that.
where you're going
all right?
first. There's 3 of them.
I definitely think that there's. Hey, if it gets ugly, I think we can take them.
them.
It's going to be close though.
Your daughter's here too.
I definitely think that there's a degree of that, right? Where the media tells women that you have to be scantily clad to be attractive. Where we have entertainers who are glorified because, and I get so sick of hearing this, that Madonna showing her crotch to her audience is woman empowerment. I'm like, no, that's just
Yeah.
being slutty. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
it's not.
To me, it's demeaning to
Public
women,
exposure.
right?
Did I miss
So,
something?
but having said that, dialing it back, I do believe that there is innate wiring where, as a man, I am wired to want to provide. I believe that is part of my DNA and mental makeup. Just like I believe that
That's
it is.
old school though. That's like that mentality changes a lot. Like
I
a
don't
lot of
know
guys are
about
like,
that.
I don't want to.
I think
Yeah,
it's.
man.
I think it's there.
Our
I do.
brains are exactly the same as they were.
For thousands, millions, whatever you want to call it, years.
Just the way we deliver it has changed.
Yeah, I believe that too.
I think like attracts like the guy with the Ferrari wants arm candy. So a girl presents herself
Sure.
in that way, and she
That's
wants to go
very
with the
true.
Ferrari,
I think
right?
that's very true.
That's
If you're like a
good
bodybuilder,
exchange.
you want another bodybuilder, right? You want your soulmate. You want
That's
someone
true.
just like you. If
Yeah.
you're raised in
You're an artist.
exactly. You want someone your complement, right? You want two birds of a feather.
Yeah.
I just
So-
think it makes me laugh and it's like super easy to be with.
Hey, humor is
Is
top of the list.
Yep.
Top of the list. That's you
That's
know.
how it makes them feel.
Yeah. Thank
'Cause
God.
in that case,
That's
you can
all
be
I
just
gotta
as
say
comfortable,
over and
like,
over.
camping
I can be
out,
funny.
eating
That's,
frozen
that's my angle.
Well,
I can be
be
because
funny.
the Ferrari.
there's, and it's a bad
That's how I got the hot
analogy
chick.
now, but I'm
Right.
going to use it anyway. But
No.
Run with it. I've
before
already
it was
given two
it
bad
was
ones.
a House of Cards.
Yeah.
So House of Cards, it was on Netflix, not on there anymore for good reason, probably. Where he talks to the camera. Have you seen the show?
I've seen the like.
So he talks to the
before.
camera. There's a part where he's talking to his wife Trudy, and they're arguing, and he looks over to the camera and he says, I told Trudy when you got married, don't expect me to make you happy, but I promise you, with me, you'll never be bored.
That's good.
And
You
I
have
was
to
like,
be
no
happy
words could be
yourself.
more true because
Absolutely.
no one
Your happiness
can
can't
make you
depend on
happy
anything
other
else.
than yourself.
Absolutely.
You have to
I
make
agree with
yourself.
that.
But somebody
really-
can make you bored,
Sure.
and if somebody can make you laugh, you won't get bored.
Absolutely. I think you have to be 100% happy with yourself, and you can't. I mean, you can't. Your happiness can't depend on somebody else.
I will keep saying, thank God.
Thank you, Jesus.
Yes, I can be funny. I got that.
Yeah.
So there we go. So a couple of points that Molly said, and this is a great comment. And my daughter, Molly, just so you know, my daughter has had your comment highlighted for like 20 minutes.
Sorry, Molly.
So
Sorry, Molly.
we're gonna make sure we cover it. I look at pictures and assume this is their best self. It's almost like an appraiser or running comps.
Oh my good, I love
I
that,
like
Molly.
Candace.
That's a
with
great-
pictures
That's a good one for
better
you.
than
That's
I
a great
can.
analogy. That
That's
is a
true.
great
She's
analogy.
in the same business as me.
Oh, you
Yeah.
know, Molly?
Similar,
Yeah.
similar.
So totally get that. That's a
Good
great. That's a great deal. Everybody's putting their best foot forward. I just don't like it when it's somebody else's foot.
Yeah.
Right? I'm putting Brad Pitt's foot forward. So Arlie, he's looking pretty scruffy these days.
I
So
totally dig
I can't
it,
use him
though.
anymore.
It's a good
Right.
look for him.
See, there's
Jeremy-
something for everyone, you know?
Jeremy made a comment
It's
that is
very raw.
completely not the normal guy. Said he talked about his wife. He's been married in this previous comment, married I think 14 years. He said they talked for 4 months. I think before we met face to face. On the day we met, she had many pictures of him, but he had never seen a picture of her. Had no idea what she looked like, but knew he loved who she was.
Aw.
Okay, Jeremy is.
disturb him
You're a
about
weirdo.
that.
I'm just saying, Jeremy.
You're very brave.
Jeremy is
White
one of my
Buffalo.
oldest friends. I've known him for like 30 plus years. Great guy, heck of a guy, and that kind of speaks to his heart. That's just that's
awesome,
who he
Jim.
is as
There's
a
no other
person.
men like you.
But that is, I was going to say, that's very unusual for a guy. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
stop blowing it for the rest of the guys, Jeremy.
Keep it up.
I'm just saying.
Even for a female, I think that we want to be attracted to a person, and yes, personality and just kind of fit can overcome conventional physical attractiveness,
Yeah.
but pictures are important whether you're a male or a female.
It's good to know what you're getting yourself into.
All right,
And
so
to Molly's point, that's excellent feedback because I never looked at it that way. If I'm putting my worst pictures out there, somebody might be saying, wow, like if
That's
that's,
as
her
good as
best
it gets.
picture.
that's as good as
I
it
mean, if you
gets.
spend a lot of time taking care of yourself and they're not,
Swipe.
that's
Yeah.
not
Left,
you know.
left. Is it left?
I
Is
see that.
left the no?
It's weird that
I
This
see
way, whatever
that.
way that way.
the people
Left.
I've been most
Yeah, I don't
attracted
even
to
know.
are the ones that don't try that, like, or the ones that I never thought I was going to be that attractive to, like, to end up becoming the most attractive just because of personality, because of like your,
All right, so I have the when do you take the new person to meet the family, especially with the holidays coming up, right?
Yeah.
Dawn had a question. Dawn Abrams, she tunes in regularly, so I wanted to read this. She said the last time I went out on a date from online, the first thing he said to me when we sat down was,
Good job, Don.
"If you have been married 3 times, you're out." I got up and left. He probably assumed I was married that many times, but I just didn't have the time for someone that didn't want to get to know me.
Was he being sarcastic or like just crappy?
So I guess that could almost go for a number of things, right? Before the show, there was kind of a controversial topic going on between Randall,
Rando.
Rambo.
You wanted to say Randy because you've known me
Right,
so long.
I did. That was exactly what happened. The mind fry right there. Y'all just witnessed it. What Randall and Melissa were debating this point, where Melissa said, she wanted to know if she went out on a date up front. She's asking, "Can you see yourself married?" And Randall was like, every guy hears that as, do you want to get married to me soon?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Now, I
And
wouldn't pose
nixing
the
it.
question that way. What I would ask is, what are you looking for? And generally, the answer comes out from that question. With regard to what you're saying about you sit down, he says, have you, if you've been married 3 times, you're out.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of it, like, if it was a joke, okay, that's kind of funny,
Sure.
haha, let's move on.
Those
But
standards
my
behind it are
thoughts with that would be not, you're not even interested in getting to know me, but
Yeah.
you're not that smart because you showed up on this date and didn't even ask me, and that was your deal breaker.
Right. Yeah, you already wasted time. I mean,
when
come
there's one
on.
person you're interested, like none of those things, none of those like your checklists or whatever, none of that stuff matters. I mean, you look past things
Right.
and you
break
give
the
and
rules.
take because it's the actual individual person. And so that's just crap. That whole list is crap. You
Yeah,
can.
I agree. It's all entertainment.
It's not like,
value.
oh, I'm not gonna do that because that person doesn't have.
So,
I will say this on the
go ahead.
comment.
So, yeah, that's what I was going
Um,
to say. Respond to that.
A lot of people that I've known that have been married, like I guess my grandmother about my grandfather, like how they met,
Yeah.
and I said, did you know you liked him right away? And she said, no, I didn't like him at all.
Yeah.
But they've been married. They were married in my
They were
grandfather's
born in a
vegetable.
time when it was broke. You
But it
fixed
was.
it,
There's
you-
even people like recently that I know, like
Yeah.
that say, yeah, I didn't like him at all. He just
Yeah.
kind of grew on me. 'cause
Yeah,
he wouldn't leave me
absolutely.
alone. Oh,
I
and
totally agree.
I'll use somebody
That works for women. That does
No.
not work for guys.
I think so Grant Cardone, he wrote
Unless
a
she
book
was
called
super
10X Rule, and he describes how he spent 18 months calling the woman he's married to now.
Really?
He called her every day for 18 months, and she
Yeah.
never returned one of his calls.
I get it for sure.
And he talked to everyone in her circle, and they told him, hey, that he was too short for her, all of these
Yeah.
things that he couldn't change. And he started doing research, and he found out that she loved guns. She was an expert marksman.
Wow.
So he calls the LA Gun Club, and he reserves the whole club for that day.
Yeah.
And he calls and leaves her a message and says, hey, I reserved the LA Gun Club for you and I to go do gun shooting. She called him back in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
18 months, never returned one call.
I get
And they
it
went
for
to the
sure.
gun show, the range, and they're still
Yeah.
married.
That's amazing.
But to your point, he knew what he wanted.
He knew what he wanted,
He knew
but
what
she
he
didn't
wanted.
want him.
I get that's awesome though. I think that's good. It's like
Yeah.
if he knows what he wanted, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I believe in wearing them down.
Resistance, yeah, persistence.
That's right. Just, win them over eventually.
I don't think there's it's like everything else, like weight loss and all these. There's not one thing that you could say this is the formula that
Right.
makes it happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there's so many variables. It's just
so many variables.
Especially
What
when
are,
it's
what are
another
their
person.
backgrounds? What are
Yeah.
they into? What do they like? Where do they grow up? What's their family heritage? Do they grow up in India? Do they grow up in
Yeah.
America? They have a mixed family. Or they have a single mom, a single dad.
Yeah.
Their parents died. Do they live in a forest? There's just too much in
Yeah.
there, except for the one thing that is constant and always the same, and that's the way the brain works, because it has never changed.
Yeah.
The reason that, because I hate that the news is always negative, I'll use that as an example.
Yeah.
But there is a really good reason why the news always talks about negative and not the positive.
Wow.
Because our brain is
responds to
wired
fear.
to survive off of, I need to know all the bad stuff that's going on because that keeps me safe.
Right.
So the news media knows how our brain works, and because they make money making us watch TV.
That's crazy.
That's
That's
a
true.
So
Resistance.
if they put positive stuff on it all the time, we would
Nobody's
never
gonna do
watch it. There's already been networks that have tried it,
That's true.
magazines that have tried it, and they all failed.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to know that. We want to know that one person that killed somebody in Tubo, Arkansas,
yeah.
and it happened one time, and there's 318 million people, and the chances of it happening to us is like winning the lottery 2
Yeah.
times in a row. But now everybody wants you to get rid of guns,
Yet,
and we live in the safest time in history.
the ironic
change
thing
that.
is, he's 1,000% correct.
Yeah,
I know
absolutely.
that. The ironic thing is that when all the dots align, it's not the guy that the tragedy that 2 people got killed in Tupelo, Mississippi, or whatever. It's the video of the cat that
I was gonna say it's a lot of
whatever
people
that goes on and gets 2.7 billion views.
Yeah.
Because we do crave it. We do crave it, right? We just don't want to tune in
That feeling that you get, oh, that's true.
24/7. It's not what we want in our news feed.
Drive down 45 to Dallas when there's an accident and see how many people want to see
Yeah.
it.
So, but it's the
That's what happened to me today.
Yeah, everybody
the
wanted to
accident
see
was not
the
even on
shit.
my side of the highway, but everyone was stopped.
Like why?
Yes.
It's like,
Like,
go.
It's the
dude,
path of least
go.
resistance. It's easier to be in a lower vibration than to put yourself in a higher vibration, and
Yeah,
so
that's
we
true.
just naturally gravitate towards. the lower
There's more work.
vibrations
You know, I get nerdy here, and I'll reference Star Wars. It's the whole light side of the Force, dark side of the Force thing. Hate is a much easier path, right?
Yeah.
And it's very strong. But at the end of the day, Yoda will always be the most bad dude in the whole Star Wars world, right?
Because he's the grounding force.
Like,
He's
he
the
can
one
be
that
cool
keeps you
saying
grounded.
things
So-
backwards.
Yeah.
And that, yeah.
So anyway, going back to the single thing, let's have a little fun here with you guys. Craziest social media, keep it PG, NC-17 or less kind of a thing. To the ladies and you guys on Facebook there. With the social media world, what is some of the craziest stuff that you just can't believe you've seen happen?
Like personally,
Yeah,
personally happened to you,
or close friend or something like that. But
I'm going last on this one.
something verifiable. Randall, you're as a guy,
I'm all in.
it's kind of the flip side of it. But
He's like, bring me the crazies.
I tell you, because Randall and I have known each other since high school. We've known each other 30 years, and since 1987. So we're actually well into it now.
We're gonna have an anniversary.
And as he always likes to say, he still has hair. So you see who won that battle, right?
Oh, okay.
Who's the more stressful of the two in the relationship? But I know he's got some crazy stories too. We talk about like stuff I cannot believe that women do.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right? And I don't know how much of that he wants to talk about.
care.
But just a funny example of stuff that you can't believe that a woman would do in the social media world.
I'll start with one, and this is like total G rated. I had a girl, and
Not like
messaged
what's
me
up,
and
G.
says you would, yeah.
That's totally what I thought.
I wouldn't date a guy like you because you think a lot of yourself. Because I do a lot of Facebook live things.
You're really good at selfies?
No, I do Facebook lives. I do
Okay.
lives. And
Just the lives.
And
How
she
would
said,
you
I
date
wouldn't
a
date a
guy
guy like you. I wouldn't date a guy like you because you think a lot of yourself. I'm like, you're damn right I do. What's the opposite of that?
Like,
What do you
I
think
work-
about yourself? That was my response.
Right.
But I know what she was meaning by that. But it's
Like
still,
you came across arrogant or something to her?
yeah, even though it's like, yeah, maybe to her, but I don't.
Yeah.
It's like, what is the opposite of that? There's
Right.
no in between for me. It's like you either think a lot of yourself or you don't.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, are you asking me out? I should have.
What are the options
Alright, I'll
here?
give it
What are the
seven.
options for my response
What are
here?
the options here? That was
Yeah, I don't know which way you're going with this, but I like it.
I like where you're coming from with this.
yeah. Why don't you come over to MySpace and I'll Yahoo and we'll Google all over your Facebook. That was for entertainment value only.
Yes, for entertainment value only.
I think that was his actual response.
Twitter snap.
I could have should have said that.
Yes, Steph.
That's my artist edition. I apologize.
Right.
Because
That was the artist edition comment. Yes.
Harley's got the man bun.
He's
on.
like, damn, that's a good rap.
I think we just
Later,
I think we just
rating
have embraced the R rating on the artist edition show.
We haven't embraced it? I feel like we've embraced it.
Did we get that?
Yeah, on the artist edition show.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
We've been banned.
Okay,
Oh,
so we
man.
had some more comments.
I was waking him up.
They weren't coming through.
Wake up, Harley.
Oh, I thought you had a comment. Oh, Steph's craziest
Oh, yeah.
craziest thing. Craziest
Oh, that
thing.
happened to me?
Yeah.
Or, I actually had, so I had it was an old coworker / friend. We hung out in the same group of friends. Life happened and we parted ways, right? And then he started following me on social media, popped into my DMs, no D's, just a message. And he was like, hey, I want to catch up. And I was like, okay, cool, let's catch up. He was like, but I want to let you know, I can't lie, like, I have a girlfriend. She knows, this is what he said, she knows that if I'm interested in someone, I'll pursue it. She just doesn't like to know when it's happening.
That's weird.
So,
I'm cheating. Basically.
basically, right?
agree with
Basically,
that.
I'm like, and that worked?
Basically, he's asking me to be his sidekick.
And that
That's
worked?
Absolutely
There's
not.
no finality to
But
that.
he's
It's
like,
just
you know, since we both have busy schedules, I figured something non-serious would benefit both of us if you'd be interested.
So
I'd
he
love
had
to
an
see
upgrade
you.
policy, is
Well,
what
go
you're
Right.
saying.
So I was like,
At least
you're
it was
literally like, and
like
it's,
hard pass.
this is someone who knew me, right? Like, you know me, and you should know better than to invite me to be your side chick. Like,
Yeah.
that was pretty. And it was from someone I knew. It wasn't just a
If it's like a random stranger.
Yeah,
like,
it was,
yeah,
and that
hard
makes it
pass.
even worse. I think so.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
hard.
Yeah,
She was
that's
honest.
They apparently had an
Yeah.
upgrade policy.
Yeah.
Also, that's not
They don't
even
want us
true.
to be-
The girl didn't know.
They want us to be honest, but then when we're honest, you don't want us to be honest. That's fucking crazy.
Weird.
Nothing surprising.
Yeah.
Please be
That would
honest
not
with
be
me.
cool.
I appreciate every respect, but don't tell me.
But
All
don't
right.
tell my girlfriend because
Yeah, but don't tell my girlfriend. She didn't like. Okay,
And now I just
Lauren.
blasted it.
Lauren made a comment that I want to come back to. This is from earlier in the show. She said, you should be able to wear what you want and not be harassed.
me too, Lauren. That's what I'm saying.
All right,
What's this?
so I want to address that. Do not
Yeah.
go too far from that. All right, because I'm going to come back to that. But I still want to hear these other two funny stories. So, Melissa.
So I can't really think of any crazy stories.
Other
She
than-
showed us one.
Other than
I mean,
midnight
other than
texting
that,
of what are
but
you up to?
When I hear other people's stories,
What are you getting into?
I think that the things that happen to me are fairly tame. Okay, actually, I just thought of one that was not. So met this guy through online dating, and women. I would say just me, but I'm going to pull a Randall and speak for all of my, half of my,
'Cause you can.
gender,
That's half the world.
my gender. If they like you, they are going to stalk you online and
sure.
find out about
Yeah.
you before they pursue things.
Does this
okay?
not go for both
Women
sides?
are going to do that?
Oh yeah.
Women,
You guys do
if
that?
they like you, if they don't like you, they won't go
I
to
really
that
don't.
extent. Okay, so with this particular guy, I liked him. I was thinking about going on a date with him, so I wanted to do a little due diligence before I made that
Are you
commitment.
talking about just like looking at pictures, like looking at
That
his
sounds
stuff,
so
or-
legit. Due diligence.
Full
It's-
background.
Use
It
if you use the
Sounds
right.
so mortgagey.
If you,
Yeah.
yeah. I was just
My
running him
background's
through
only
my.
finance, so-
I was just
Yeah.
passing him through my underwriting team.
Yeah, so I
So-
had to do some due diligence before
Yeah.
I agreed to
Yeah.
emotionally invest in this guy,
Yeah,
right?
make sure he
and
was
for
financially
me, a
capable
first
of
date
affording
is
the
an
house.
emotional investment.
No.
So, anyhow,
So shallow, so shallow.
so I find out that he's part of some polygamy groups.
Okay.
And he was also a millionaire. He had several very nice cars.
Polygamy
owned-
groups.
Owned many companies.
They have
was
those?
very
Cool.
well to do.
Dude, sounds awesome.
There's a group for everything.
Yes, yes.
So it says my 17-year-old daughter.
And so,
So I heard.
so I
Tell us about
asked
these
him.
groups. Is there a group for it? No.
Go ahead.
Right, and so he didn't know that I knew anything about him other than what I had gathered from his dating profile, which was none of this, nothing about him. And so I said, hey, I looked at your Facebook or whatever it was
I think
where I
it's
got this
expected,
information.
like that.
And, I don't think that we're going to be a good fit. And he was like, what do you mean? I said, well, you're a part of these groups, and I'm not really down with that. He's like,
Yeah.
oh, well, did you also find out that I own this and I do this? I said, yes, I did, and we're not going to work.
Right, but he has 7 wives.
Wow. See, that's the Facebook and social media world. You can pretty much find out anything
Yeah.
on people. Just
Yeah.
don't even try hiding. So
That's
anyway,
weird.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, the fact that our lives are out.
and I'm a good Googler. I can find out stuff people want. Just on,
I'm a beast with Google.
just on a business level, I can research anything. So don't try to pull one over me. I'm just saying. Anyway, so one last story here, and then I want to get to dress.
I don't know about the craziest thing. I think I like the PP pig thing is a big deal. Like the messages that you
The
just
PP
ignore
pig.
all the time.
I've coined
That's what
that
I'm saying,
phrase.
like, it's
It is
not-
mine.
It takes something intriguing for me to actually invest any kind of time or energy in it that will go anywhere. So, and normally it's not. That's not the way you do it. So,
Yeah, and they're not
So,
pretty. Like, I don't know.
I mean,
Well, it's not
if
So
you're-
just to be clear, you've never had any instances where you're like, "Oh my God, I
that's
can't
a
believe
great
he
one.
ever." Well,
no, I'm
that was
usually
not
like
bad.
no. Also, what blows my mind is not when you don't respond. Like I know that like the whole like being
Ah.
persistent thing, like you know what you want, like that's part of it. But like it gets to a point where it's like it's very like I very legitimately there's nothing to say here. There's no response. There's no like I'm not giving anything. So why is my phone ringing at 3:00 in the morning like it's acceptable? Like those kinds of things. Like
I have those.
I turn around.
those
So,
are just
yeah.
weird. Yeah.
Okay,
Guys
no,
are
I probably
ruthless.
shouldn't.
I
But if
shouldn't.
it was the right guy, I
shouldn't.
probably would have checked it.
Exactly.
That's weird.
Right,
It's so
right.
weird.
I shouldn't.
Like if it was somebody I
Do
really
it.
cared about,
No,
I would,
do it.
that wouldn't bother me.
Do it. Do it.
Throw it out there. Go ahead. Come on. Run with it. I'm gonna hit
You
the.
have to now.
I'm gonna hit the dress thing. People should be able to dress how they want. and not be harassed. I'm coming back to that, Lauren.
I don't
We
know how
touched
to-
on that with our artist
You know what, I can-
in the artist edition that with me too.
I
Yeah.
can't say it because it's a little bit on the R side, so
Oh.
it's not. That's not anything bad, but it probably is.
Okay. Here's the thing.
It's just I'll say it in this way: that men know this. Not most men. Most smart men know that just because a woman is innocent, just because she says she doesn't do or doesn't like that, that
Yeah.
doesn't mean that she didn't think about it and a week later she changed her mind and now she's saying I do like that, because that happens all the time.
I'm looking
Yeah.
at Carly right now because he's like.
How many
madly
times do
bringing-
you?
Carly, you don't count in this.
Production
so I
team.
can say I am not into that. I'm sorry. I don't want to talk to
Okay.
you.
And I think
then
it
a
comes
week
down to
later
the
they're
very
into it.
for
upfront,
one,
though.
not for
I changed my
everyone,
mind. I kind of thought about
For
it.
a specific.
And I think
While I
Going
have
back
never
to-
done it, now that you mentioned it, I've been kind of thinking about
Have I
it.
ever done it?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think if I'm into it,
Right.
if I'm into a guy, I'll like they'll know. Like there's no like wait like trying to figure it out. It's like if you want something, you go after it. You
Yeah.
know, like that's just how it is. I think it's easy for a woman to get what they want.
Yeah,
and they go
yeah.
after it.
I think it
So-
comes back to the what are you looking for question,
Yeah.
though. So if a
Right.
man is looking for that, and that's his bait, and then it feeds into the dress thing,
Especially in the stage
then
of life.
But women are
everybody's-
looking for it too.
some are, some are not. Everyone has their match. There's not a right or wrong, right? So that
Yeah.
guy is going to find someone who wants to be part of a
Right.
polyamorous relationship, not polygamy. I'm sorry,
Or make someone
polyamorous.
believe they want to be like he might have been trying to convince
Right,
you that.
Well,
right,
there's
right.
a great.
So
go
there's
ahead.
something for everyone, and that's why that question
I mean,
is.
I'll take a sister wife though. That will clean my house and stuff.
There you go. See,
That's
see, she's
okay.
thought about
I'm
it
fine
now.
with it.
See,
So
think about it a little bit
Look at
more.
me.
there's a great
Benefits
story
of
about
it.
a guy that stood outside of a mall and approached 100 women right off the bat and said, "Hey, do you
Yep,
want to
Tori
have
said
sex?" And
Just straight up.
yeah, and got a full range of highly offended, ignored, whatever, and 97 said no.
Yeah. What about the three?
Well, they said yes.
That's
Just like up-
that's the
yes.
story. Yeah, that's the story, right? So
Really?
yeah,
Three out of 100
yeah,
would just
it's
like,
just it's just a story, but
That's
it's
gross.
it's
That's a gross
saying the
story.
same thing. It's like your odds may suck. I mean, they
Yeah.
may be bad,
Yeah.
right? But somewhere there's somebody, because there's 7 billion people
Sure.
in the world.
Even if they
so
don't know that,
the odds are
they'd be
ever in your
groomed.
favor,
Yeah.
right?
So I used to fly
So-
for United Airlines, and it was mostly
You're
all
a
women.
pilot?
No. I was a flight attendant. I was a stewardess.
So
and,
cute.
Yeah, and so I did it for 11 years. 26,000 flight attendants, and probably out of 20,000 of them were females.
Yeah.
And I learned because you sit next to them, and you sit next to a stranger almost every flight that you do.
Yeah.
And some days you may do 4, 5, 6 flights, and you fly with something. But the story was almost always the same as I flew with these girls. Like, wow, these are like clones. Like
These
the
women-
responses
I think, though-
through things. Because they would say these things. These are some of the things.
Yeah, give
I
us
would
the
ask you
things
series
before
of
we
questions.
respond to this.
Like
'Cause we're about
so,
to whiplash.
so like the guy with money, always the same, but not me. That would be the response. It's like the guys with money are like, I don't care. I'm like, okay, I believe you. I believe you're saying that now, and I believe you, but that's not what I observed.
Really?
Number two, no, everyone I ask always says not me. And if I talk to
Money
every
isn't
girl-
important to me.
What's that?
Money isn't important
I
to
think
me.
Yeah, money is
That's-
important,
not
but I
Yeah,
believe
that's-
them.
That's true of
Everything, but
most
you can't be
girls, but it's
broke.
not improved.
You
Yeah.
can't be broke, but it's not everything.
I believe them. Just the gamut of these simple questions that say, well, yeah, not me, or I don't do it. I get fake booze for me. It's like all these same.
I told him getting fake booze for me. But keep going.
The responses are
And she doesn't care about money.
almost always
Also
the
don't care about
same.
money.
No. And you don't have
I'll
to be
pay for them
attractive. You can
myself.
just be
But
funny.
I
Not
fly
letting
with
me pay
these
for them.
girls, and over time, I know guys that know them.
Oh, okay.
And it's not, the story doesn't pan out
Really?
to be because guys talk.
So I think every person.
So the stories are way different when
Yeah.
you get to other guys.
Yeah.
And they tell you, oh my God, no, that's not the way. And it's just like the Rasputin story from the Russian royal family. This guy was a demon, basically. And the whole royal family, every woman in the royal family wanted him.
So, a couple things. Number one, I think that whether you're male or female, everyone has their ideal self and their core self or their animalistic self, right?
Yeah.
So you have this ideal that you aspire to, and that's what your values are. That doesn't mean you won't deviate from them.
Yeah.
And then also, sometimes you'll find that there are different rules for different people.
Yeah.
So depending on the person, you may respond differently.
Right,
The
like
final
you might
thing-
overlook things
Right.
because
because of whatever. But the
Right.
final thing I want to say to that is I will stereotype, and I don't know because I'm not in the flight world, but I would think there's a certain personality type that says, I want to fly all over, I want to... That's I would think unstable type of lifestyle that person is
because
choosing.
it's passengers as well. I talk to them too.
Okay. That maybe.
Well, they talk to you.
And also, there's a vacation mindset. So when women go on vacation, they're much more
That's
free.
their real person.
That is their free personality,
That's the
right?
real
So you
person
have your
you wanna
office
be.
personality, you have your bedroom personality,
Have you ever
you
seen
have your
Bridesmaids?
vacation personality,
Yeah, I
you
mean,
have your bridal shower
I
personality.
just say that women are much better at putting the
It's like,
front
I like to-
and saying, I need to be this
Have you
person.
seen Bridesmaids?
But behind the
Best
door
movie
is the
ever.
real person. It's like,
Yeah.
that's the
I think
person
they're
that I
all
go
the real
home and I go to
person.
bed
I think we're
and I sleep next to.
multifaceted. I think
with
it's
no
I'm
makeup
certainly
on. With no
100%
makeup
100
on.
different
Is
people
that.
all the
I think we're all.
Yeah.
I think it
that's
changes.
all they're multifaceted personalities. Like we can't compartmentalize.
See,
to
So now
that
you're
extent.
wondering why. Now you know why we
We're
could never
super
know what the
confusing.
hell
You're
to
never
do.
gonna get
Who
it.
the fuck are we talking to?
We don't even
Right.
know what
That's
the
what I'm
hell to
saying.
do.
That was the first
What
F-bomb.
Andy
Talking
said.
to.
I
I
haven't made it through a
yesterday.
single show without an F-bomb. So,
It was his fault. He was looking at me.
so you know what? I will say,
We
this
need
to
Harley's
me,
girlfriend in here.
this to me is one of those by design issues, right? I'm my worldview is a biblical worldview, and in the biblical worldview,
Yeah.
the female was the last thing created, right? Literally the apex of creation. When God created female, He
Was done.
He was done, rested, right? This to me is the classic design difference, where men, we can put up a front, but in essence, we have a front and we have behind the door, right? Just like Randall was saying. He is describing a female through the classic male view, and I agree that is absolutely how men see women,
Yeah.
right? I absolutely also believe what she just said as a woman, that they are complex enough that they will genuinely mean the 5 different versions
for sure.
of themselves that they're putting forward, or more. All right,
On that topic.
and
we
somewhere in the midst of the middle of all that chaos
We also know it, and we own it, and we're fine with it.
is
It's okay.
is the real one. The middle of the road between all those flavors of personality is the real one. I mean, I've seen psychologists, I've seen neuroscientists explaining from psych profiles, from neurological wiring and how the
Yeah.
brain works, all this stuff. It's why when we argue with you, you'll bounce from 25 different topics, and we're all going, what the hell's that got to do with the topic that's on the
It
table?
makes a lot of sense.
right?
Our brain is what has.
But it's how y'all are wired. We just are completely wired differently. And, that's the beauty of life.
I think
So-
ultimately
We're
everybody
fixers.
has that. Like,
Yeah, we're fixers. We're fixers. Why are you talking to me unless it's a problem I can solve? And if you don't want me to solve it, then why the heck are you talking to me? That's basically how we're wired. My wife and I have gotten to the point, after 24 years, I suck at gift giving. I'm like, give me the gift. Give me the list, right? The list. You don't have to tell me the item. Just give me the list, right? And within that list, I have permission to deviate, right? I want, she's not a big jewelry person, but let's say she was. I want jewelry. I want something sparkly. Well, I've got lots of range in there. I could get a tennis bracelet. I could get a necklace. I could
just
get
give me a
earrings.
starting
Yeah,
point.
yeah,
Right.
Give us a real jewelry.
Right.
Real jewelry.
Right, and she just will bullet point the gifts, and I'm good to go. I'm totally happy with
That's
that.
so
I'm a
funny.
man with a mission, right? I'm going out to conquer the list, right? And I'm gonna bring back that list conquered. It ain't gonna have nothing left, right? So that's how we work. That's how we wire. That's the beauty of male and female wiring differences.
But you've been married a long time. Like ultimately, like I think the whole purpose behind it is like that genuine connection. Where like there's this quote about like no matter how big and bad you may see, there's always that one woman who could see right through you. Like that's ultimately I think the end result for all of it. It's like that one. You can.
You know
feel big
what?
and Bad, but, like,
There's
I-
a- there's a
I'm not
movie-
buying it.
By the way, Scott had the polyamorous equals polygamous without the commitment.
So I
I love that.
I said polygamy, and I meant polyamorous,
Oh,
and
okay.
I was not familiar with like poly, and I don't even know, but
Mormon?
it was
Just
I have
multiple
learned so
partners
much.
without any real commitment.
I have learned so
Was
much
this
in
in
3 years
Texas?
of being single to the point where nothing surprises me anymore, and I'm
Yeah.
not offended by much.
Right.
But I think that you just pinned it perfectly. I think that's exactly what it is.
You know, there
I feel like I
are
could do
pros
that.
and cons on, and we need to do a marriage show. I need to get some
Yeah,
folks who've been married
me
for like
too.
20 plus years on the
Yes,
show
yes.
and do the same kind of thing. because there's pros and cons on all the sides. There's a movie with Bruce Willis. It's been a movie show for me. I've like referenced a lot of movies.
You
You're
definitely
out
had
of
a great life.
Ed earlier said great,
Anyone
movie
married?
ratings review show or
That's
whatever, right?
hilarious.
Yeah.
So right.
There's a show. It's
You're right,
called
though, about the marriage
The
thing.
Story of Us, and
Yeah.
it's with Bruce Willis and I think it was Helen Hunt.
She's a
No, Meryl Streep. Meryl Streep. And so they play this couple. They divorce. No, I'm sorry. They don't get divorced. They separate, right? And they were both right about the things that they were like arguing about, right? And her big thing was that in essence, you never see my side of the story. Typical guy thing. I am the worst about it. My wife will tell you this. If she's watching, she'll probably chime in, right? That she's like, you always have to be right. And I'm like, of course. Why the hell would I be arguing otherwise? Right? I'm like, if I thought I was wrong, I would have just said that up front. I mean, like, okay, yeah, you're right.
But
I'm
after
done.
20 years,
right?
aren't you kind of softer on that subject? Or it's like whatever makes you happy,
So
Yeah.
we debate those points out, but in the movie, he had his moment where he had these. He for the first time in his life, he saw through her eyes. He saw that, and it's. I mean, I'm like, whoever wrote that movie lived it. They lived it. But he had this moment where he said, in essence, we should figure out how to make this work because. Right, I know that if we go to bed and you're mad, and I can like take my foot and rub your foot, and you
Right.
rub mine back, that we're not that mad,
Yeah.
and it's like we have this dance
Absolutely.
mostly figured out, right?
Yeah.
And so we should fight it out for that reason, and right, and so I'm like, yeah, that was my reaction,
Compromise and sacrifice. I mean, at the end of the night, it's that's what it is.
and that's
It's
to me,
compromise
that's
and
the whole
sacrifice.
thing
It's
of
worth it.
life. It's the whole. My wife will. I told her we should do a marriage show,
Yeah, for sure.
and she was like, no.
No, you should absolutely.
And I said, yes, we should. She
Yeah.
goes, what am I
Is
going to
your
say?
wife watching? We're doing a marriage show.
She said, what am I going to say? And I said, you have a ton to say. We've been
Yeah.
together for 24 years. You have a ton to say. She goes, I'm just going to say that I'm very forgiving. And she goes, that's all I have to say. And I was
mean,
just like,
Yeah, why not? That's
I'm
true.
like, well, first of all, yeah, you're right. I mean, like, that's a big part of
Pick
it.
your battle.
But I mean, she has a lot more to bring to the plate, I know, than just saying that,
Yeah.
And she was been a little, fun with it, giving me a hard time. But it's like, the reason we work is because I just forgive you for all your idiocy.
That's
That's
hilarious.
basically what she was saying. And she's probably like 90% right.
I mean, I think
So-
she, and I observe it,
99.99%
she lets you just
right.
be yourself.
Yeah.
Which is so
Yes.
important.
And you feel like
kids
you
have
can
married
be.
40 years.
Yeah,
It's so hard to,
absolutely.
it sets the bar so high. for
So,
sure.
I think we do need to do a marriage show and get some folks on here
Yeah.
that have been married for forever and talk about that stuff
Yeah.
and what it looks like and all that jazz.
I'm never getting married, but if I do, it'll be one time.
Why? Why are you not getting
Only once.
married?
No, I'm just kidding. We don't need it. That's a totally
there
different
you go.
direction. Let's not.
All right. So
Because the grass is always greener.
Ed wanted to know,
Yeah.
Molly, why did you cancel? Ed,
Oh, why?
she had a family commitment, and it was kind of like the daughter with the Aggie ring. She had something that was equally important to her, and I will never be upset about that. She let me know in advance, all that sort of thing. I will tell you now.
Ashley, is that you?
For anybody, yes, that's my daughter. I will tell you now, guys. I'm getting to the point in my life. This is like a warning shot over the bow, right? Communicate with me, right? You want to cancel with me? You want to not show up? Whatever else? Let me freaking know more than 30 minutes before the show or more than 2 hours before the show, because I will unfriend you, block you, and delete you and not look back. I'm just getting to that point in my life. So, there we go. Just said that. Anyway.
Much like dating.
Much like dating, yes, that's a good analogy, right? My daughter chiming in for Scott here. Polygamy and polyamory are both supposed to be committed relationships. Polygamy is usually for religious purposes, and the women generally don't have any relationship with each other besides being family. Polyamory is 2+ people all in a relationship
okay.
together.
So, like,
See,
okay.
This is you wonder where I get this from, right? Or like where she gets it from. This I chime in all the time, and that's my daughter. So
Super smart.
that would be a comment I would make. So anyway, thanks for chiming in, Ashley, and
Thank you
and
for clearing
educating
that up for all the adults.
Ashley's-
educating everybody on
Yeah.
polygamy
I really didn't know
and
the difference.
polyamory.
I'm
We're
really
going to talk
excited.
after
I'm
the
happy
show.
to learn something.
We're gonna talk.
I mean, Google.
Yeah.
Google will. You can.
Yeah.
Right. So Anyway, parting thoughts. Anybody? You have any stuff
Yeah.
you want to close out with?
I do.
Otherwise, we're going to get to
He's
rating
like,
the wine.
Yeah, I always have
Bring
something
it
Go
to
ahead.
say.
Really.
I have to say one thing that is the hardest thing for every human being to say is that they were wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Because like Joe said, everything that we have in our minds and thoughts that we share is we only say them because we believe them to be true.
I think the older you get, the more secure you are. Like the easier
That
it
you
is
be
to
like,
say
oh,
that.
yeah, I
would
totally
absolutely
agree.
take
I totally agree with that,
responsibility.
and I've
That's the point about
totally gotten to that point in life. And like, you know
Yeah.
what? Like you're absolutely you are right. And like
Yeah.
nothing happens if I say you're right, other than like, wow, he's actually a pretty cool guy.
It is. You are absolutely right. That it is difficult to, when you're arguing or debating a point. I am much
Chenin Blanc.
I am much better about adapting and altering my views, genuinely altering my views, and even to the point where, for instance, David, a regular on the show, David Pipkin, he and I debated back and forth about during the election between Hillary and
The other
Trump, and
That
I
guy.
was basically saying what a lot of people said. In essence, if we don't vote for Trump, Hillary's going to win, and that's unacceptable to me.
Right.
And so I have to vote for Trump. And it doesn't matter whether I like him or not, I have to vote for him. And we debated that point out a ton. And at the end of the day, the whole idea of lesser of two evils, I got to the point where his argumentation was convicting enough for me that I'm like, I have to, when it comes to voting, I have to be genuine to my beliefs. At the end of the day, I'm going to stand before God, and He's going to say, why did you make the decisions that you did? And the argument, it was the lesser of two evils, doesn't fly for me. It's just not acceptable, right?
So you have to have a
That's like saying,
okay.
well, I could have slept with 3
That makes
women
me feel
outside
bad.
of my marriage,
Okay.
but I chose only to sleep with one because that was lesser of the two evils. God would
yikes.
still be like, no, that's not cool. That doesn't fly, right? It's the same thing, right? So for me, the argument, was I can't. Ultimately, the person had representations about them that I didn't align with my beliefs, so I had to alter my view. And David didn't find out about that for a long time. I honestly thought I told him, but I genuinely altered my views. Nevertheless, it is genuinely tough, even when you consider yourself enlightened and evolved, to say you're right. I changed my view. I concede the argument, right? You're presenting one side, I'm presenting the other. My argument is broken down, and I concede the point.
because it's so deeply personal. It is a
Especially
piece
when
of-
it's something that's deeply personal. A really strong
almost everything
view.
that you think in your mind is personal.
It absolutely
You can
is.
It's
care about the
filtered.
person
It's
enough,
filtered
though.
through your own
Yeah.
life
So,
experience.
so when I say all of these things and you go, no, that's that wrong, it wouldn't matter if I had a videotape and Jesus came and God came down and said, hey, Randall's right. It would still be so
Yeah.
hard. Or he said, you was right. And I'll be like, I can't.
But
I
if there's
can't.
mutual respect and you care about a person enough in a relationship, if that's like where we're going with this,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. Like that stuff, like the negative,
That is,
feeling
at the end of the
connotations
day,
in there.
at the end of the day, we all die.
disagree.
We
Doesn't
we
matter.
attach, and I think Harley behind the camera here as a musician can kind of grasp this statement. I spent many years as a professional musician, and I've written far more songs than I will ever even remember. I've had many instances in my life where somebody said, "Hey, man, I love that song. Could you play that song?" I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, I have no reference to it at all. Right? It's just gone. Where you hold on to these things when you're an artist, the creation is a reflection of you.
Absolutely,
Right?
that's super.
And
true.
as you evolve as a human being, you learn that the artist is the creation is not you. It is merely a reflection of a thought,
Yep.
a moment in space and time.
Absolutely.
Right? And so when somebody criticizes it, they aren't criticizing you.
Yeah.
Right? So you learn to divorce yourself from that thing
Yeah,
as
that's
a
good
creation.
comment. You learn to divorce yourself from.
Right?
Yeah,
Super
yeah.
true.
And so, similarly, in the context of our conversation here as humans, I think an enlightened position to strive for is divorcing yourself from
Ego.
an ego, a position,
Yeah,
an argument
absolutely.
that you're hanging on to, and purely just embrace truth.
Yeah.
Right?
Right, I agree.
And so when you start hearing, you're like, yeah, you know what? My argument is breaking down. Yeah, and I'm not attached to it.
Yeah.
Right? It's something that I believed, and I
You can
let
still
go
firmly
of.
believe
And,
in it.
I got
Right.
new information.
right, I've got new information.
Yeah.
That's at the end of the day, that's all it boils down to.
Unless you're a politician, then nobody allows you to change it.
Right.
I think it's important to ask a lot of questions.
Yeah, be educated and informed.
Ask questions about other, why do you think that, Randall? Why do you
Yeah.
think that all women? What women have you encountered? And then to us, okay, why do you think that,
Right.
a man messaging you at 11:50, what makes you think? So to
Yeah.
understand where they're coming from and their frame of
I
reference
agree.
for
Right.
the beliefs that they have.
Yeah, absolutely. I've touched on this point a couple times throughout the night where I'm talking about I'm just done with certain people, right? And my tolerance level is just gone. But I told somebody else who asked me, they said, why is this so important to you? And I said, well, look, I'm striving so hard to get people to listen and learn, to listen to each other empathetically, right? So we can start hearing each other's side, because I want to see humanity advance. And God, it'd be great if we could stop yelling at each other long enough to, cure cancer, or
Just
at
the
least
whole
at least
concept of the show is
at
so
least
great.
not to shoot each other one
Yeah.
day, that kind of thing, right? And they asked a follow-up question. And they said, but why is that so important to you? And I was like, wow, I hadn't thought about it. But at the end of the day, I had to go back to my childhood and my parents' alcoholic, abusive dad, tons of fighting and all this kind of stuff, and you never knew where it was crazy. You never knew where that was going to go. And so I'm just solving childhood issues. That's really all it boils down
That's
to.
cool. That's
right?
cool that depth of it is so large.
Yeah, and that's all of life.
Yeah.
Life really does work that
Sure.
way. You're constantly motivated by things that are happening
sure,
to you from your
absolutely.
childhood.
Yes.
Having said that, I'm like, I really want to get to the place where that person doesn't push my buttons. Where
Yeah.
the person that was just being a jerk for the sake of being a jerk doesn't ruffle my feathers.
That's why you did the show. That's the whole
So
purpose of it.
yeah, I'm trying to fix the world, but you can't.
One glass of wine at a time.
One glass at a time, that's right. One civil conversation at a time over a great glass of wine, which we're going to wrap up on that note. And Ed loves to tune in every, so often and
like
harass me. He said, if Joe was a woman, I would date him. Or buy a parrot. Whichever
where are
talks
you?
less.
I'd date him.
That'd be the parrot.
It'd be a toss-up, Ed.
With an African gray.
All right. This week's wine is Nzuri. I don't know if we can get a close-up of this, Harley.
I don't think I've ever had an African wine.
Yeah, South African wine. They make some really great wines. And in fact, they had a red wine that's one of my all-time favorites called Reserve Bank. And it was a blend that we've had on the show before. Phenomenal. Loved it. So this is Nzuri. South African wine, comes from the Western Cape of South Africa, and flavors of mango and papaya. It's a very fruity flavored wine. Chenin Blancs traditionally are a lighter, fruitier kind of wine. So we're going to go around and rate it. Randall did not chime in this week, and so he won't be rating the wine. He is taking medication, so he was not allowed to drink wine on the show this
I didn't
week.
even notice.
So,
That's why I was tame.
literally, he's
Yeah,
the first
exactly.
person on the Wine No Wine show, the original show, not to drink wine. We have had one other person on the other show, not the artist edition, not
But
to
I
drink
have
wine.
had this one.
So one each. But you've had the Nzuri?
I'll get it
That's Ferrari.
mine as well.
Did you have it? I didn't know you had it. Okay.
That's
Right.
pretty good.
I actually traded for it. So, okay, well, hang on then. If you've had it before. He's had it before. All right. My daughter, look at my daughter being the perpetual smart aleck that she is.
She is something
She
else.
She's the
is
best.
she is her daughter. She is her father's daughter.
She said save your child.
Save yourself the trouble and buy a parrot.
I will second that motion. I'm losing.
All right, so let's rate the wine, ladies. And gentlemen. Starting over here with you, Maggie. How many grapes do you give this?
How high does it go up?
5.
Five is the
Okay.
highest, and you can give yourselves in betweens if you want to give half grapes or
Like 3.5 grapes.
3.5 grapes. All right,
Yeah,
all
better than
right,
expected.
all right.
So before I rate the wine, I want to read you today's Hart Ramsey Uplift because I think it
Hart Ramsey.
Hart Ramsey's Uplift. I get it every day at 2:34 p.m. It's a subscription, but I think it ties directly into what you said. If you can't change the world, change your world. You'll be surprised at how much of an impact that change will make.
So true. That's exactly what I was
Because the
saying.
world
Well,
changes for
that
you.
is absolutely
Like it doesn't affect me.
my
Your opinion doesn't bother
philosophy,
me.
and that is absolutely the point of the show.
Yep.
I know that I'm not crazy. I know I can't fix the world, but I am trying to fix the world around me.
Yep,
There you go.
absolutely.
So
Amen. Okay, so this was a wonderful wine, very drinkable. My preference is Chardonnay, so before I give my rating, I want to say that first. I think that this leaned toward the butteriness of a Chardonnay, so I like that about it. But as far as the Chenin Blanc goes, it didn't have the crispness that I'd be looking for in that particular variety. I think it was an amazing, very drinkable wine, and I gave it 4 grapes.
Great.
very good. Very accurate for me. Very accurate assessment.
Let me see what my words
This wine for me, summertime. I'm starting to get a little more biased towards the reds at this time of year. Summertime, I may have a totally different feel about this wine. It was a very drinkable wine. It was light, fruity. The crispness of it, as you said, not quite as much. We had another. We had a Spanish Sauvignon Blanc that was the best I've ever had.
Why'd you choose that white one? I'm surprised you chose that.
I just
It
whatever.
was in his box.
Yeah, whatever random mood hits.
Yeah.
So I just look at the shelf and what I have on the shelf, and I go, that one. So anyway, it's very scientific.
These are all good.
So I give it a 4.25.
All right.
I give it a 4.
Four?
I've had 4 glasses of wine, and of the 4, the 2 of the Chenin Blanc were the best. And
Okay.
yeah, it was just really good. I like
It
white
was
wines.
really good.
I really do.
You know what?
I'm a fan
To be
of red,
perfectly
so-
honest, the wine club we are in, I have been very impressed with. Consistently, they've done very, very well on
the
both the
whites?
reds, both the reds and the whites. But I tell you what, generally they have knocked it out of the park with the whites.
I would say with this, if you're not traditionally a wine drinker and you're just getting introduced to wines, I think this is more approachable than something with more crispness.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a very solid-
And I actually really enjoyed it.
It's a very solid one.
Yeah.
Randall.
Virgin,
So-
the subtle.
So I started drinking wine about 4 months ago. I didn't drink up until that point. That never really was a drinker.
Is this
I converted
your
him.
bad influence? Yeah.
But I would join the wine club.
I would say it's my good influence, but
I joined the wine club, and then he's like, "Well, you got to try it." I'm like, "Okay, I tried it." I'm like, "That's not too bad." And me, I love to read stuff, so I started reading about wine, and it was really the romance of the wine that sucked me in because
Yeah.
there's just so much about wine.
Mhm.
And it's it's always subjective. Wine is subjective, like art. This glass of wine you give to somebody else, and they totally hate it. I'm a red wine drinker, but I remember that wine sticking out because we get 4 or 5 bottles a month, something like that. So I'm gonna give it a 4.
there we go. Very solid.
Basically,
So I'll
a
tell you
red
guys.
wine drinker.
I'll tell you what, and most people are red wine drinkers. It's 70% of the wine.
really?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
70% of the wine
That is
drinking
interesting.
population prefers reds. I will tell you guys that if you have not subscribed to our Instagram page, look up the Wine No Wine account on Instagram, because I will post the picture of the label along with the average score and a description of the wine and what it pairs with, that sort of thing. And so that's unique to our Instagram account. You will only get that information over there. So make sure you subscribe and follow us on the Wine No Wine show on Instagram. So, crank up the music. We're heading out. Another great show. I thank you guys for tuning in. Last minute guys, Don Kozlowski for hopping on. Ashley Crum, thank you for being a part of the show. Terry, you got to hop in earlier, brother, because you always have some funny comments. Average wine rating was 3.95. That's a solid wine. It's a very solid wine. So, next week, make sure you tune in 5 o'clock. Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Same kind of a show, but we focus on local musicians and artists, and I will have to tell you, I've had...
A bit more rough.
It's definitely a little more raw.
a lot more raw.
Don't bring your kids to that show. All right, I'm just saying.
But come
right?
to that show. because
But
it's
come
great.
to that show because I will tell you honestly, I'm a
much fun.
fan of the show
Yeah, so much
because
fun.
the live music and it's just been awesome. I mean, really some fantastic stuff.
Yeah.
And that's on. We have it live on Facebook now, but we only put the music songs that are live on the show. I edit them and then I upload them to our YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe to the Wine No Wine Show on the YouTube. On the YouTube.
On the YouTube.
On the YouTube.
On the telly.
And you get to check out some of the awesome, cool live music and support local artists,
Yes.
local artists and local musicians.
Absolutely.
I'm doing everything I can to give them exposure and that sort of thing. But I tell you what, we've had some amazing talent. I'll be honest. I totally didn't expect the level of quality that we've had. I'm like, it's gonna be local musicians. I know they suck, right? But we've had a lot of freaking great musicians and artists on the show. So make sure you tune in. That's Thursdays at 7 p.m. We're going to wrap it up, guys. I am trying to save America one simple conversation at a time. So please like, follow, and share the show. Get it out there and invite your friends to be a part of the mission. It's a serious cause, and America needs it. We're out.